Tonight, will Trump impose tariffs on the UK? The US president's threat is branded completely unwarranted and the wrong thing to do by First Minister John Swinney.
The suggestion of an increase in tariffs because the president doesn't get his way on the situation in Greenland is completely and utterly unacceptable.
Also making the headlines, plans to end a decades-old booze ban for Scotland football fans at the National Stadium. Alcohol could be served at Hampden this spring. The medical device which could slash waiting times for cardiac patients. And in sport, heart sweat on the fitness of Lauren Shankland ahead of the weekend showdown against Celtic. I'm Kellyanne Woodland. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. The First Minister says the US President's threat to impose tariffs on the UK is completely unwarranted and the wrong thing to do. Donald Trump announced extra levies would be introduced on 8 NATO countries as part of a dispute over the future of Greenland. The Prime Minister also warned the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong. Our political correspondent Ewan Petrie reports.
The whisky industry is already feeling the heat from US tariffs. Existing levies are costing around £4 million per week and more than 1,000 jobs. The US is one of the biggest markets for this distillery in Fife. Donald Trump's threat of a further 10% charge from next month is creating uncertainty here and concern over the long-term impact.
During the summer months, we welcomed lots of American golfers to our visitor centre, many of whom are from the US. That's part of our end-to-end marketing between them and being able to experience our whisky at King's Barnes and play golf in Scotland. If they can't then get the product, or it's a lot more expensive than they expect in the US, they may go off and try other brands, not necessarily just in the Scotch whisky category.
President Trump insists the US needs to take over Greenland for national security reasons. This morning, the Prime Minister said the dispute must be resolved through calm discussion. A trade war, he said, is in no one's interest.
Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership, not pressure. That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong. It is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance.
This is Connor, one of our chefs.
The First Minister was today launching a programme to help young people start up a business. But he warned additional tariffs risk undermining Scotland's economy.
I think it's completely unwarranted and the wrong thing to do, and the suggestion of an increase in tariffs because the president doesn't get his way on the situation in Greenland is completely and utterly unacceptable. There has to be a focus on dialogue to make sure these issues are resolved and to avoid the economic hardship that would come from the imposition of these tariffs.
Donald Trump is refusing to say if he would use military action in Greenland. The Prime Minister hopes the calls for calm are enough to persuade an unpredictable president to reach a resolution. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
Our political editor, Colin Mackay, has been watching all of this unfold. Colin, what did you make of the Prime Minister's statement?
Do you know, I thought he was much more open and upfront than I would have expected. It shows that this is serious. This really is a crisis. The Prime Minister's approach to dealing with President Trump so far has been to flatter him, keep him on side, and you saw that with the state visit last year. President Trump favours being fawned over rather than being challenged. But yesterday, the Prime Minister was one of the few calls that President Trump took. Today, the Prime Minister was absolutely clear, though. He doesn't want to go down the route of retaliatory tariffs, and he very politely warned President Trump that allies should not be imposing tariffs on each other, although he's giving no ground at all on Greenland. And in economic terms, this is no small thing. A 10% tariff at the end of next month would mean a £6 billion hit to UK businesses.
And how are the other parties reacting, Colin?
Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage are both backing the PM strategy. The Lib Dem leader Ed Davey is the one who's actually calling on him to stand up to Trump. And the First Minister John Swinney has also had a fairly cosy relationship with President Trump. They met at the opening of Trump's new Aberdeenshire golf course last summer. Then they followed that up with the Oval Office meeting. And he's taking a similar route to the Prime Minister against tariffs because he says they would be damaging for the economy, but also warning the President that they're destabilising security and threatening the future of NATO. This whole Greenland situation has really spooked political leaders right across the world. They don't want to annoy Trump, but they don't want to give in either. You can get more of this in Scotland tonight.
Indeed we will. All right, Colin, thank you very much. For the first time in more than 4 decades, Scotland football fans may be able to buy alcohol inside the National Stadium before a match. SFA Chief Executive Ian Maxwell has told STV News alcohol could be sold to fans at Scotland games as part of a pilot scheme similar to those that have taken place at some SPFL clubs this season. It comes as bosses announce the game is worth £820 million to the country. Ollie Dickinson has more.
For more than 44 years, Scotland fans have been restricted to non-alcoholic drinks at games in their national stadium. But that could be about to change, with a trial similar to those seen at some SPFL grounds on the cards. It means that whilst a pint at pitch side may be some way off, fans may be allowed to have a beer, and not just a Bovril, on the concourse.
We've been heavily involved in those conversations. You know, there's been a number of SPFL grounds have had trials. We're looking at something similar for Hampden, hopefully in the not too distant future. And yeah, I mean, everything you've said there makes sense. When you get to go and enjoy other sports in that type of environment, it would make sense that football's treated the same way.
Ian Maxwell was speaking on the day it was revealed the beautiful game contributes more than £820 million to the Scottish economy, supporting more than 14,000 full-time jobs. Bosses say it's a huge number with serious community benefits.
Yeah, so the value is made up of a number of different areas. There's obviously club activity, there's the activity in terms of fans travelling to clubs home and away, both in Scotland and abroad, and then of course international matches. So you know the money comes from a wide variety of sources. There's a huge economic benefit, as demonstrated today, a societal benefit that we've known for many decades, and also value added that we can create through organisations like the SPFL Trust.
There's very few industries in Scotland that can show that level of contribution, and it's incredible that Scottish football is able to do that. In line with that, obviously Scottish football is something that the people feel so passionately about here in Scotland, so when you combine that economic impact with the passion that people feel here for football in Scotland, it shows just how valuable an asset Scottish football is.
Spending in stadiums by fans, though, supports a range of businesses. Joe Aitken's pies have gone from sustenance for supporters to supermarket shelves.
These are the impacts that lie behind those numbers. £820 million is great for the Scottish economy. It's a wonderful figure. But businesses like ours actually thrive on that, and that's what we do, and that's how we add to the Scottish economy as well.
With Scotland back on the world stage this summer and plans to host major men's and women's international tournaments here in years to come, those who run the game hope the impact football has off the pitch continues to grow.
Well, Ollie joins me in the studio now. Well, alcohol would certainly be an earner for them. So what more do we know about this trial then?
Absolutely would be, and today is the clearest indication yet that there could be some sort of relaxation change to that booze ban. Our understanding is that it'll follow similar detail to those SPFL trials that we've seen at points throughout the season, in that fans can drink in designated areas on the concourse before the game.
So they wouldn't be allowed to take the drinks to their seats then?
No, and that still feels some way off. And that's a strange one, isn't it? Because fans point to the fact that rugby fans got to do that at Hampden when Glasgow Warriors played Edinburgh really recently.
And when the Tartan Army go abroad, they drink in stadiums.
Of course they do. I did it in Germany when we followed them for the Euros. Tens of thousands of Scots travelled to Germany, and Scotland fans were praised for their behaviour in the towns and cities and in stadia, where of course alcohol is widely sold.
So how likely are we then to see a full-scale change of the law?
I think this is a difficult one. In short, not very. The First Minister has regularly voiced his concerns, previously saying that he was not sympathetic to a change in the law. Local licensing powers, though, lay elsewhere for short-term change. Lifting a ban on booze completely, though, yeah, still some way off, I think.
All right, Ollie, well, look, keep an eye on it for us. Thank you. The Health Secretary is facing calls to make an urgent statement at Holyrood over failures at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital campus. NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde admitted this weekend issues with the hospital's water system had probably caused some infections, which led to the deaths of child cancer patients. The 11th hour U-turn has been made in the closing submissions to the Scottish Hospitals Inquiry. The board's lawyers will address the inquiry tomorrow, followed by patients' families on Thursday. Peter Murrell, the former chief executive of the SNP, is set to appear in court next month. The estranged husband of former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon was charged with embezzlement in 2024 following a police investigation into SNP finances. He made no plea when appearing at Edinburgh Sheriff Court last year. And police are continuing to investigate after a mosque was vandalised. The words "Leave Scotland" and "Get out of Scotland" were spray painted across the walls outside Edinburgh Central Mosque in the city centre on Friday evening. Officers say inquiries are ongoing. Now, no one wants to wait to find out what's wrong with their heart, but an appointment for a simple ECG test on the NHS can take 6 to 12 months. Well, this device could change that. The ECG patch, which sticks onto the chest like a plaster, is being rolled out nationally to improve monitoring and treatment for stroke patients. From next month, it's also to be offered to others referred to hospitals across Greater Glasgow and Clyde with palpitations and other unsettling symptoms. Our chief reporter, Sharon Frew, explains.
You'll feel there's a little indent. That's a little event button.
Clinicians have described this device as a game changer.
And then once it starts flashing, that's it kind of kicking in.
The ECG patch is designed to be practical and convenient while it records the rate and rhythm of the heart.
No palpitations, no dizziness, shortness of breath.
This patient knows more than most about this technology. Katrina leads work at the West of Scotland's Innovation Hub.
I've got high blood pressure and I had some unusual readings on my ECG, so my cardiologist suggested that I needed some further monitoring. It's going to be interesting because I am travelling to Brussels tomorrow.
Katrina kept her own video diary as the patch tracked what she put her heart through over 7 days.
So we're going to go and see what happens through airport security. The ECG patch didn't even set the alarm off. So that's me back in Glasgow. London Heathrow was no bother. That sky is why we run. Isn't it, Lewis? Slept totally fine. Asleep on my tummy and it didn't make any difference. Gone about my work, no bother, and I'm heading to the gym tonight. Showering was one of the things I was most worried about, but it's been totally fine. Okay, 7 days are up. I've just taken the patch off.
When the time is up, the patient pops the device in the post for the results to be analysed.
So the results are sent through to us electronically. The doctors can access them straight away. If there's something abnormal, it's coming in within 24 hours sometimes. If there's nothing abnormal on them, it can be up to maybe 5 days, but it's still vast improvement.
The ECG patch is the modern alternative to the bulky Holter monitor. Current waiting times for this test can be around 12 months, with a further 2 to 3 months for the results to be analysed. The patches are expected to reduce this time to around 3 weeks.
This is actually older than the original iPhone, so it's a real piece of history right here.
The Scottish Government has invested in a national rollout of the patches for stroke patients to improve the detection of further risk factors and speed up treatment decisions. In Greater Glasgow and Clyde, they want to expand the use of this technology to ease the pressure on emergency departments and acute medical units. This new pilot is called Patch and Go.
Patients who are coming in the front door, coming to A&E and to acute medicine with palpitations and dizzy spells, we will be giving them the option to take a patch, and so that's always done on an individual basis. We don't want to send people home who feel unsafe or feel really unsettled and really want to be in hospital. We're here to say to patients, actually, we can now offer you a choice. If you'd rather go home and have the test started straight away, we can do that for you. In the past, we never had the technology to do that.
The plan is to enrol at least 500 patients, which is estimated could free up 1,500 bed days.
We feel we have to do things in a different way. Simply continuing with our older models without innovating isn't going to give us the benefits that we need within the population. And so we would see this as having a significant impact both on reducing the pressure in our hospitals, but actually allowing people to be cared for in fundamentally a better way.
Don't see or feel like any part of the patch is coming off.
All of the things that I was maybe a little bit nervous about were absolutely fine. One of the things I did was teaching at the time about medical devices. Whilst wearing a medical device, I didn't feel I needed to show it to the students. But yeah, it was good, though, to remind me about why we do what we do.
The hope is that this type of technology can be used for other specialties such as respiratory medicine. This approach is something patients will see more of in the digital drive to modernise the NHS and deliver care closer to home. Sharon Frew, STV News, Glasgow.
Four men are to go on trial charged with a multi-million-pound cigarette and tobacco scam. Damien Rapaki, Michael Zinda, Marek Dadzija and Piotr Rapaki, who live in Lanarkshire, are alleged to have kept counterfeit cigarettes and hand-rolling tobacco in storage units, including one in Glasgow's East End. Prosecutors say they intended to defraud customs of £36 million. Lawyers for the group pled not guilty, with a trial scheduled for next year. More than 400 staff at Strathclyde University are being balloted over strike action. It comes after the university announced plans to cut 76 jobs as part of efforts to plug a £35 million funding gap. Unite the Union say the institution has failed to properly consult them over the proposed changes. The university says the approach will help manage costs and increase income. A charity in Paisley is giving children with disabilities a chance to thrive in sports. Frames Football, the only project of its kind in Scotland, is helping children who use walking frames the opportunity to play football, be part of a team and imagine themselves emulating the players they see on TV. Rahim Cham reports.
Bound by frames but driven by ambition. This sports facility in Paisley is the only place in Scotland where children who use walking frames can train and play football.
We do some matches, we just did one and the score was 4-6. Challenges, matches and diving. Do like challenges, football games.
And which one of them do you enjoy most?
Football games.
Frame football is designed for children and young people who experience mobility challenges. Led by former Queen's Park captain David Galt, the academy gives them the chance to emulate their Scottish heroes ahead of the World Cup.
There is no opportunity for a kid in a frame to play football, and ultimately we want to break that barrier, that ultimately football should be accessible for everybody, regardless of physical condition, mental condition. The football is probably the secondary thing for us, to be honest. See, our kids, they meet new people socially, confidence, mentally, being able to just find a space to go and play.
9.10, Adam, that's your fastest so far. Well done.
From sprints to matches and penalty shootouts, the programme has become a lifeline for families who previously had no specialist football options anywhere in Scotland.
So I bring my twins down to the frame football. So I've got Lucas and Lily, they're 9 years old and they both use a frame. And frame football is just something where they can get involved and take part in an activity that they love.
It's inclusive, he can play with other people who use frames and it's really good for his confidence and just general fitness as well.
With Scotland's preparations for the World Cup underway, sessions like this will give these young players a chance to feel part of that journey. Rahim Cham, STV News, Paisley.
OK, it's time to get all your sport now with Rahman.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith New Year Sale.
Good evening. Former Hearts and Celtic midfielder Paul Hartley believes the Premiership title race will go down to the wire and reckons Derek McInnes will look to strengthen his squad in their title push. The Galway side, who sit at the summit, are awaiting scan results on Lauren Shankland's hamstring injury to see if their captain will be missing for Sunday's Tynecastle showdown against Celtic. Jamie Borthwick reports.
There's no shortage of talking points in this year's Scottish Premiership, not least the three-way race to be crowned champions.
It's about time we had a good title race in Scotland. It's always been sort of one-way traffic, so yeah, listen, it's all to play for. I definitely think it will come down to the last game of the season, to be quite honest with you.
Hearts enjoy a 6-point cushion over Celtic and Rangers, but captain Lawrence Shankland limping off in Saturday's Scottish Cup defeat to Falkirk was the last thing Derek McInnes wanted to see. The results of a scan on the striker's hamstring should be known by tomorrow, with the possibility that he joins the injured Cammy Devlin and suspended Benny Beningame on the sidelines for the visit of Celtic on Sunday.
They're the three key players for them, so. And I think Derek will want to add to make sure that they come out the window much stronger, because it's a run-in, and then that's when the pressure cranks up. I think Derek's done a brilliant job, got them organised, some really good players that they've signed, and I think they believe that they can win the league. That's coming from the supporters and from the squad of players that they've got.
Celtic were comfortable, if not convincing, in their cup victory over Auchinleck Talbot. Martin O'Neill's side now travel to Bologna in the Europa League before returning to face the league leaders.
Yeah, it's huge. It's probably the biggest weeks that we've had this season, so we know it's going to be tough, but we're ready for it. Since Martin's came in, he's just told us play our game, play how we've played for the past odd years, so he's just came in, he's gave us a big confidence boost, and we just need to keep going now. We need to keep winning games.
Listen, Celtic need to get some players in. There's no doubt about it. They've not been playing well. They've not been consistent enough. The Bologna game is massive now, but it doesn't look like they're going to strengthen their squad between now and then. And then the Hearts game comes on a Sunday, so definitely the pressure is on Celtic for the game on Sunday.
This campaign hasn't followed the usual script. There's still plenty of time for more twists to come. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
SFA Chief Executive Ian Maxwell says the Scotland-friendly matches this year will stand them in good stead for the World Cup. For the first time since that stunning win over Denmark in November, Steve Clarke's side returned to the National Stadium to take on Japan in March. Days later, they'll play a friendly in England before taking on Dick Advocaat's Curaçao in May. They then face Peru in America in June.
Curaçao are very similar to Haiti. They will give us an understanding of them. Obviously we've got Japan. We don't have anybody Asian, but that's not to say that later on in the tournament we might not do. So being able to equip ourselves against teams with a different style, different football culture will stand us in good stead for the summer. It's a send-off event for the players. It'll be a send-off event for fans who'll be leaving soon after to make their way over to the States to go and watch the games. It's a hugely exciting time. It's a hugely exciting summer, and that'll be the start of it.
To rugby, and Glasgow Warriors captain Cal Stein says it feels unbelievable after the Warriors topped their Champions Cup pool with maximum points for the first time. The Warriors' 28-3 victory over Saracens at Scotstoun yesterday set up a last 16 clash against South African side Bulls in April. Should they progress, Glasgow will have home advantage up to the semi-finals, at venues still being discussed. Despite suffering a heavy defeat to Bath on Friday, Edinburgh progressed to the knockouts after finishing fourth in Pool 2. They'll be away to Leinster.
Yeah, it feels unbelievable. I mean, you listen to how the crowd is now on his 150th, how good.
George, your 150th game, try scorer. You guys have been in the round of 16 before, never passed the quarter-final. Do you think you guys are better prepared than ever for this stage?
I say we're in a pretty good place as a team, but you know, the old cliche, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because that's when you come unstuck. So yeah, we're a bit of confidence just now. We've got to just keep that turning over week to week, but yeah, we're excited.
Mixed emotions for us. Obviously gutted on Friday night to concede 60 points against the Bath team, regardless of how good they were. It was always going to be a tough challenge at Bath. They don't lose much at home, but the runaway in the last 20 minutes for me wasn't acceptable.
Tennis, and Jacob Fairley is out of the Australian Open after losing his first round match in Melbourne. The Scot fought back from 2 sets down against Poland's Kemal Milczak to take the third set, and despite having a 3-love lead in the fourth set, Milczak progressed after winning it on a tiebreak.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith New Year's Sale.
And finally, there was disappointment for John Higgins after losing the Masters final to Karen Wilson last night.
All right, Raman, look, thanks very much. We'll see you tomorrow. OK, well, let's get your weather now. And Philip, it's only the start of the week, but you've already got a warning for us.
Yes, that's right, Kellyanne. The Met Office issued the warning earlier today. It comes into effect Wednesday and runs all the way until Friday at midday, primarily covering parts of the north, such as Aberdeen, Aberdeenshire, parts of Moray, Dundee, Angus, Fife and the Highlands, but also further south into parts of Stirling and Perth. It's a warning for rain, as we'll have a spell of quite heavy and persistent rain moving through Wednesday and into Thursday. By Friday, we could see widely 30 to 60 millimetres of rainfall accumulated. Add to that further snowmelt, we may see flooding in an area that has already seen the worst of the weather since the start of the year. Tomorrow, not looking too bad though. That's my only good news. Let's take a look at the forecast.
A breezy morning will be followed up with a flurry of fresh delights for lunch. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
So over the next couple of days, for the rest of this week, our weather is remaining fairly unsettled and changeable, and it's being dominated by a series of low pressure systems moving across the country, and that will keep things very wet and windy day by day. By the end of the week, we're in an easterly airflow, so things turning a lot colder just in time for the weekend. Back to just now as we head throughout the rest of this evening and overnight, a lot of low cloud, mist and murk and hill fog developing early on. Then through the second half of the night, some showers and drizzle pushing in from the south, with temperatures dropping to lows of around 1 or 2 degrees Celsius initially, and then those temperatures climbing as we see more cloud throughout the night. So looking ahead to Tuesday morning, first thing, a fairly murky, dull and damp start to the day for some of us, but then eventually an improving picture, plenty of brightness and sunny spells throughout the afternoon, remaining mostly dry until tomorrow evening. We start to see that next system pushing in from the south and the southwest, temperatures reaching highs of 9 degrees Celsius. Then looking ahead to Wednesday, a very windy start to the day, fairly widespread, and those winds continuing to strengthen throughout the course of the afternoon. We'll see those pulses of rain pushing inland across the country, the rainfall accumulations building up within this yellow weather warning area. Away from that though, a bit more shelter, so western parts holding on to the best of the drier conditions. Very similar temperatures, highs of 8. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
So a wet week ahead, and that's all we've got time for this evening. From all of us here, enjoy the rest of your evening and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.